back again with some more WICSO. Now in today's video, no, actually no. Now in today's video, we're going to be focusing more on the expansion into Europe and Asia. And I can't, and as I'm recording this video right now, I can't believe it. This is already episode 7 and I just uploaded, episode 6 a few minutes ago. Now why am I doing episode 7 immediately after episode 6? Well, I was kind of in the mood to expand a little bit more, especially with the creation of India, which is now my new favorite country, by the way. Does that mean they will be getting plot armor? We'll have to know. But for now, with all that being said, let's just jump straight into this video starting off with Italy, or rather starting off in Italy. So, as we saw in the last video, they established the very first demilitarized zone in Sicily, and from there, they will just continue to go ahead and expand into Sardinia. So let me go ahead and let me go ahead and adjust my tools to oh my goodness, to the correct settings, and okay, there you go. So, as mentioned, the Italians will start to colonize more and more of Sardinia until they eventually completely conquer the island, essentially bringing all of Sardinia under the rule and establishing a pretty large footprint around the Mediterranean Sea. Around the Mediterranean Sea, or at least part of it. Oh yeah, by the way, fun fact, this little body of water is called the Tyrrhenian Sea. Now, as you all may know by now, the Italians are a nomadic people who, I believe they were a purple team, they are a purple team remnant, so the reaction to the, or rather, their people are of, purple team descent, so their feelings towards the purple team right now, I'd say they're probably mixed, but as long as this demilitarized zone is there, I'd say that the Italians are happy. I mean, even though they did just face invasion from the purple team, the fact that the fact that the purple team destroyed the pink team kind of pleases the Italians. However, though, they're still a little bit distrustful of outsiders, so yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I haven't really mentioned governments yet, so we're actually going to start things off with Italy, and I'd say that their government is a sort of tribal government. I'd say that their government is it's not like a tribal government or anything like that. It's more of like a central senate. So, is Italy a republic? Yeah, pretty much. Italy by this point is basically a republic with a nomadic culture. Sure. So as the Italians continue expanding up into Europe, by this point they've completely conquered the Italian peninsula and are starting to conquer the coast. Is this the beginning of WICSO Rome? Well, not really, because they don't even have Rome as their capital. However, though, they will start to thicken their hold around their claims in Europe until they eventually reach the Alps, in which they have to stop because those are some very high mountains. However, though, this is what they'll manage to from colonize from their colony in Sardinia. They will eventually move down and claim all of Carthage. However, though, this doesn't mean that the purple team won't get a shot at it, as they completely claim the peninsula. As they manage to claim the peninsula just before the Italian pink team can cut them off. Now, was this the intention of the purple team? No, not really, because they just made it there by coincidence. I'd say that the purple team just kind of made it there by coincidence. So yeah. And as soon as they meet up again, the Italians are once again threatening war with the purple team. And essentially what the purple team does is essentially what they did in Sicily. They will establish a demilitarized border zone, essentially creating their second demilitarized border zone with Italy. Now, how are these border deals affecting the relations between the two countries? I'd say that the relations are actually gradually improving, even though the pink team did break off from the purple team. So yeah, but with all that being said, Italy will continue expanding on its colony, eventually starting to dig inwards, and from there they'll eventually start going to the North African colony until they'll stop because it's very deserty. Actually, no, they will expand a little bit more inwards and then they'll stop. Elsewhere in Carthage, we will see the purple team start conquering the south of start conquering their own southern half of the desert, essentially intending to leave this northern area alone for the pink team. And the pink team's reaction to that is it's kind of their reaction to that is a bit unexpected. They weren't actually expecting the purple team to be nice, but they eventually send a kind of thank you. However, though, they're still being paranoid. They do establish a small little demilitarized zone. They do still establish a small demilitarized zone. However, though, we can actually see the relationship between the purple and pink teams, the Italian pink team, by the way, kind of evolving from kind of evolving. However, though, despite this, it's important to note that some Italians are obviously still wary of the purple team, considering that considering that the Italians are a member of purple team descent. So let me just go ahead and finish the demilitarized zone, and I'll be back once it's all set up. Okay, guys, we're back, and as you can see, the border is a little bit thicker here. It's important to note that the demilitarized zone isn't actually this thick. It's supposed to just be 1 pixel thick, but a lot of the pixels were overlapping, and I didn't bother to have time to just fix that. So, yeah. But with Italy done, now it's time to move on to my new favorite team, India. My new favorite team, India. Now, if you guys remember from episode 5, the Indians broke off from the Indians broke off from the green Persian team, and they actually got rich, and they got rich in episode 5, and most recently, they officially joined the Red Triangle Alliance in order to counter any Persian aggression. Now, as you may recall, with India's rich resources and because the Indian merchants had a desire to expand to India anyways, the Indians will only continue to expand further and further into the Indian subcontinent, only getting richer and richer as they do so. And because of this, many people across Europe are starting to say that, actually no, Europe and Asia, are starting to say that India could be the rising star of the East. By this point, India has established themselves a pretty large empire, and after thickening a little bit more to connect up with their territory in the Bengal area, they will eventually stop because they're starting to get overextended. However, though, by this point, India has become a pretty rich and thriving superpower. They have, as of now, become the richest country they have become the richest country um in my WICSO series. Now, speaking of my WICSO series, what timeline would I by this point, what year would it be? Well, I'd honestly say that at this point, it's probably like 120 BC or something. No, I don't really know. You guys can make up the date, but I'd say it's like around the 100 and for some reason I want to say it's like 120 BC, but I think it's like 100. It's probably like 180 by now. But I'd say it's probably like 180 by now. But elsewhere, we will see the Caucasian countries start to expand its empire further and further. However, though, despite the fact that Armenia looks great on this map, it's important to note that we must remember that the Caucasus Mountains are kind of blocking them off. So their colonies are precarious here. The only reason why is because by this point they've established a pretty good navy that's allowed them to get anywhere as fast as they can or as fast as possible, even if it means they have to skip the easier way of just going up the land. By this point, they've currently built roads and stuff like that and developed the land beyond the Caucasus. However, though, it's not like an However, though, the web of roads and stuff is not too interconnected. So, will we see a collapse of the Armenian Empire? Well, we'll only have to find out. But elsewhere, as the Armenians start conquering Ukraine, they will eventually find their way into the Dnieper River, and from there they will eventually start following the river current. From there they follow the river current and establish a pretty weird looking colony over here where they will eventually start and try connecting it with their empire. However, though, as you can tell, however, though, as you may see, by now their empire is absolutely humongous, and it's looking like it may be pretty hard to control because all of this area around the Caucasus is sparse, flat, and not really too valuable. I mean, sure, it has oil under it, but what are people going to use motor oil for in the 1200s? But it, for now, Armenia will last. Elsewhere, we will see Armenia start traveling up the Volga River, and from there they start making an effort to connect their Ukrainian colony with their Volga colony. However, though, they are starting to look very big, and it's discontent. And we may see discontent growing within the areas beyond the Caucasus. Now, is that happening? Well, not really. We'll just have to find out in the future or later in this episode. Who knows? Elsewhere, we will see the Libyans starting to expand once again into the desert. However, though, as they meet the purple team, they will immediately get suspicious and will immediately send a delegation to the purple team saying, "Hey, what are you doing and why are you at our border?" To which the purple team is like, we're just here cementing our claim," and to which Libya is like, "No, no, no, this is our continent, and we do not want invasions. Thank you very much." So eventually, Libya gets angry with the purple team, but they will not declare war, instead telling the purple team to just back off. In response, the purple team will decide to offer them a demilitarized zone. However, though, the Libyans will refuse that deal, instead demanding that the purple team give up half of the southern half of their colony. This this at first is a offer that the purple team does not want to accept. However, though, upon realizing that the Italians will probably just take them anyway, they eventually decide to agree to Libya's terms, and in the ensuing treaty, Libya gets all of this land, whilst the purple team gets all of this land. However, though, because of the value of this land, this actually means that this actually means that the purple team and Libya will work out a DMZ just like with the Italians, because just like Italy, Libya by this point is still distrustful. Especially now, they are now even more distrustful, especially after Mesopotamia kicked Egypt's ass, and now Egypt's capital is much closer to home. So with that being said, let me go ahead and demarcate the DMZ between Libya and Car- and Purple Carthage, and I'll be back once that is set up. And in this peace treaty, we will see the Libyans establish their DMZ with the purple team. By this point, however, though, the purple team is actually pretty limited in its expansion. And by this point, the purple team decides that maybe they need to ramp up their colonialism a little bit. However, though, the only problem is they really can't because, again, they're trapped. So for now, the purple team will decide to stop its expansion and will instead decide to start profiting from their colonies all across the Mediterranean. Elsewhere in Egypt, the completely battered Egyptians will start to conquer more and more of the Sahara in hopes of finding more tropical savanna lands. However, though, as they only continue expanding further into Sudan, they will find some savanna lands, but these savanna lands weren't as big as the ones that they used to hold when they held their core lands in eastern Egypt and Sudan. And so, within Egypt, a feeling of resentment for Mesopotamia begins to build up. Does that mean that they will go to war with Mesopotamia over the whole issue? No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. However, though, what we are seeing in Egypt is an increasing hate and xenophobia for Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia. Elsewhere in Arabia, we haven't, or rather Oman, we haven't really touched up on these guys in a while. So let's see how they've gone. Oh boy. By this point, Oman has grown itself into a pretty large and respectable power. They now own most of the Horn of Africa, and as of now, they're doing a lot of trading with India. In fact, they're trading with in fact, India by this point has become their biggest partner, and we are actually seeing Oman as and we're actually starting to see Oman becoming the gateway of Asia of Asia slash India to Europe and the Middle East. To Europe and the Middle East. By this point, Oman is profiting massively from their trading partners of India and from their trading partners with India and Mesopotamia, and we are kind of beginning to see the potential for a sort of maritime Silk Road forming between Oman and India. And speaking of the Silk Road, have trade routes been built yet? No, but there are plans slash talks to build one. Elsewhere, however, we have to talk up on the Orange team. Now, the Orange team is stuck in a bit of a dilemma. Whilst they are still a pretty strong country in Anatolia, they are trapped. As you can see, they are trapped by the square alliance of the purple team, and they are trapped by the triangles in the So anyway, sorry guys for the momentary pause. My mom had to get my fan out. Yeah, I'm borrowing her fan because my room is absolutely steaming right now. But anyways, as I was saying, the Orange team is in a bit of a dilemma. Whilst they are still a pretty strong country in Anatolia, they are trapped. To the west is the square alliance of the purple team, Albania and Dobruja, and to the east is the triangle alliance of Mesopotamia, Oman, and Armenia. Now, by this point, the Orange team simply does not know what to do. And by this, however, though, the Orange team wants is more land. However, though, as I just said, they are trapped. If only they had an ally, and because of this dilemma, the Orange team begins thinking. What if only they had an ally to help them out from the east, maybe they could flank the Mesopotamians and maybe they could gain access to the sea. And so, hearing the story of Persia, these two countries eventually decide to sign their very first anti-democracy, their very first anti-democratic alliance. And this anti-democratic alliance will be none other than the Rounded Rectangular Alliance. If I can get the shape right. And there you go. Hang on, let me go ahead and fix this. And so the treaty is signed. The Circle Alliance, consisting of the orange Anatolian country and Persia, is signed. This is the very first anti-democracy alliance. Now, is this alliance necessarily fascist? No. I mean, they technically are, but this alliance known by the world? No. It is a secret pact. That is the thing. So no one knows that this exists, but it's a secret pact between the two countries. And with Persia's much more powerful position, they secretly start trading and smuggling war supplies to the Orange team, who secretly starts to build up their military in preparation to destabilize the region, the Middle East peace, which has existed for quite some time now. By this point, around Anatolia, it's been relatively peaceful. There was, of course, the complete destruction of the Pink Team, or the anti-Pink Team war, but that was around 2 episodes ago, so by this point, the world has mostly been at peace. However, though, these two countries are restless, and they want land. And actually, that's gonna go ahead and do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give this video a like. Share it with your friends. And with all that being said, because it's currently 1950, I'll see you guys next time. time. With all that being said, see you guys in the next video.